right, what's up, everyone? Oh, let me get my mic. Thanks for joining me today on Teslanomics Live, where I take a look at the news from the previous week. I give you my take on it and some other numbers and fun stories about you and this community we're building here. So thanks for joining me yet again. And as we go along here, you can ask questions in the chat. I have it up on the other window here. There is a bit of a delay, so apologies for that. But I will try to get most of all of them answered by the end here. And thanks for those of you that submitted your questions in advance. All right, so let's start. Today, I actually want to talk about a user story, one of you guys that used the referral code we have to get a Tesla Model S. And it should be printing, so give me 1 second. Gotcha. Well, I'll read the email to you. I'm not going to share his info, obviously, but this comes from Stephen Turner, and I'll just read you his email because it really touched me when he wrote it. So here you go. Stephen writes, Ben, I've enjoyed viewing a couple of your Teslanomics videos and reviewing your EV buyer's guide, which is now available on the website if you guys didn't know. I just used your unique referral code as I purchased my first Tesla today, Earth Day 4/22/2017. So congratulations, Stephen. That's awesome. And the fact that you did it on Earth Day is super cool, I think. Based somewhat on your analysis, I bought a new from inventory Model S 60D upgrading to a 70D. And if you recall, they just dropped the price on that upgrade because in the newer ones, it's a software limit. It's not a hardware thing. So you can do that. I think it's only $2,000 now, but check your listing there, I guess. It was built in October of 2016, so it will have the self-parking and the autopilot enabled and all of the required hardware for self-driving. Not only did I get a reduced price, but I still get free supercharging for life. So that's awesome, and that's something that, if you didn't know, you can get some models that are still brand new. You use our referral code and get the $1,000 off, and you still get free supercharging. So that's awesome that he did this. I think that's a good buy. I live in Virginia, about 12 miles from Washington, D.C. I plan to drive or eventually have it drive me to my daughter's home in Clearwater, Florida 3 to 5 times a year, 900 miles each way. I had no idea the East Coast was actually that big, but okay. I just turned 60 and will become a grandfather for the first time in October. Congratulations. I hope to know what that's like someday. My son is 2. He actually starts preschool tomorrow, so yeah. So a little ways to go there. The Tesla is perfect for me as an older adult. I have difficulty flying in an airplane due to a pulmonary condition stemming from a birth defect. In addition, my diabetic neuropathy impacts my feet, thus making driving less enjoyable. With self-driving features, I can now enjoy the ride in my Tesla. My feet will not have to constantly be working the gas pedal and brakes, and I will be breathing room air instead of reduced oxygen in an airplane cabin. Not to mention, some models have that HEPA filter thing, which filters the air tremendously. I don't know if that's worth it or not, but I always thought that was an interesting feature. Keep up the great work, and I hope to become an active participant on your Teslanomics exchanges, including a donation to Patreon at some point in the near future. At least I was able to save $1,000 and hopefully help you out as well as using your unique referral code. I can't wait to take delivery in approximately 2 to 3 weeks. The car has to be transported to Northern Virginia from Nevada. So, Stephen, thank you for sharing your story. It really makes this whole thing feel a bit more real when folks like you are not only using our referral code, but also reading the content in the EV buyer's guide, as well as the analysis we do here each week. So thank you for your story and sharing it with me. And everyone else, that if you have any other stories or things like this about how my work here has helped you in any way, please email me. It's ben@teslanomics.co. And I'll take a look at that and maybe share your story on a future video. So that was first and foremost. That really touched me, and I felt like sharing that with you. So there you go. Now, for my long and short, and I have some interesting stuff this week. Let's start with actually something that I want to think it's related, but I know it's not. Tesla just put out a blog post, and let me share this with you real quick, and you can see what it says. That's not the one I'm looking for. The other article. Okay, so Tesla just put this out today. In fact, charging is our priority, um, and in the blog post, they talk basically about how the Model 3 is coming and how what they're doing to prepare for it for the Supercharger network. Now, the reason I'm saying it's funny timing is because I had a video last Thursday which just talked about what I was calling the Supercharger apocalypse, and that got featured in Forbes and a few other places. So, anyways, I doubt that those two are related, but it feels kind of a funny coincidence to me. Now, the kind of main bullet points here are that Tesla's had 5,400 superchargers since 2012. So that's how many they have kind of to date. And they have 9,000 destination chargers. And these are worldwide numbers. And I'll read you a couple quotes here, and I'll scroll down just so you can see where they're from. We started in 2017 with over 5,000 superchargers globally, and by the end of this year, Tesla will double that number to total more than 10,000 superchargers and 15,000 destination charging connectors around the world. That's a big number to hit, because it's already a few months in. We're already almost a full quarter, or just past a full quarter in. And you have to double. I mean, there must be a lot going on. This must be a lot of where they're spending their money. I wish we had more details on that, or if you guys know, if you found any more details about that in their financial statement, I'd love to see it. In North America, we'll increase the number of superchargers by 150%, and in California alone, we'll add more than 1,000 superchargers. We're moving full speed on site selection, and many sites will soon enter construction to open in advance of the summer travel season. Also, when Model 3s will start being delivered. Toward that goal, there's a separate quote there. Toward that goal, Tesla will build larger sites along our busiest travel routes that will accommodate several dozen superchargers simultaneously. So you can kind of see a little mock-up here of what this might like. It'd be nice is if they actually had some little refreshments there or something, a little cafe. And they have a link to the map there. So this is a cool article. Again, I doubt there's any relation directly with my post and theirs, but the fact that they call out California specifically, there's a lot of points where this would connect, and I would be flattered if it had any impact on their press or blogging schedule. So, anyways, so this is good news, right? So, as an owner, in my last video, I was talking about this. A lot of these stations are already busy, especially in more urban centers. And the further out you go, kind of, they're always pretty open, right? I travel back and forth between Phoenix and San Diego, and the stops along the way, there's never anybody there. But the one I showed in the last video where I was in San Diego, it was almost full, and it's because it's in the middle of a workplace. I always kind of felt, and I had not been to the San Diego one before, I always felt that these were kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but I learned I'm completely wrong on that. A lot of these are just right in the heart of like where people live and work, so it makes total sense that they would use them when they're not necessarily needing to. Save the money as well as just more convenience. I can just charge up while I'm at work and deal with that. So I'm good. I'm glad. This is awesome. I'll take a look, and in fact, the guys in Tesla Motors Club I know will be following this and keeping track of it. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. Now, the long for the week is the Model S recall, Model S and X recall. And I was trying to find a good source for you on that. So let me pull that up real quick. Because the other ones that I pulled up did not show. Now, it has to do with the parking brake, and there's a gear there that is causing an issue. But the thing is that it shouldn't be an actual safety issue. It's just that if I remember, that it wouldn't come out of gear, so it essentially wouldn't disengage. There you go. If the gear were to break, the brake would remain engaged, but the parking brake would also be stuck in place. So they're doing this, and this is my long, because this is a big recall. I think they said it'll take about 45 minutes to replace. And I wanted to show you the Tesla thing, but by the way, Tesla.com is like down. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that, but they're having some major site issues today. So it doesn't seem like a major deal. It doesn't seem like, the car's going to catch fire or anything substantially dangerous, but 53,000 is a large number. If you look at their entire fleet, estimates, 150 plus thousand out there in the world, So, minor fix, all this. And the reason this is my long is because they're getting well ahead of this. And they're the ones that are actually reporting it, where instead of most recalls where you find out, 10 people have died because of this thing or whatever, this is really good. And it did, I think, affect their stock a little bit. But yeah, shares dropped just over 1%, but no big deal. I'm sure these will be back, and it won't be. I think this is a good play for them, and they should keep this up, is my point. That's why it's my long for the week, the thing I'm betting on. Now, for my short, this has to do with the Autopilot 2 lawsuit, and this one comes from Forbes. And on here, you can see the Autopilot 2 lawsuit. There's 3 folks in San Jose that are suing Tesla. Basically that the technology can't be used, and they were kind of misled, and the marketing said that it would be ready by December 27, 2016, and it's not. And then Tesla kind of comes back and has a response saying, let's see, Tesla's this is disingenuous attempt to secure attorney's fees, posing as a legitimate legal action. So they're coming back pretty strongly. My short is actually on the people suing them for this. I mean, unless you have some documentation that says it actually was, this is going to be delivered on this date, I don't think you're going to go anywhere here. And I just think it's lame. I mean, I'm in California, and I just think the legal system is already bloated with frivolous lawsuits. Now, if there were actual damages here, if there were people that were hurt by a feature or something like that, I get where legal action may make more sense. And some of the cases where we've seen that Tesla's actually, been very proactive about it. So I think this is kind of a bogus lawsuit, and it's my short for the week. I just hate seeing stuff like this. So there's my short. Now another one I have, and this is more on the long side, is that Tesla is now topping the Model X AAA green car list. And this is kind of surprising to me. I think they have the list on this page here. Yeah, so the overall winner was the Tesla Model X 75D. And then you can see the large car was the Model S 60, which I have. Awesome. And then you can see the SUV, of course, was the Model X 75D again. So Tesla's really killing it on the Green Car Awards. No big surprise here, but it is nice to see the Model X recognized, specifically because the Model X has had issues with reliability, and there's been negative press, and there's just been, I think it's a fantastic vehicle, but there's been some issues. In fact, there was recently a story, I forget where it was coming from, China maybe, where it caught on fire and they couldn't open the Falcon Wing doors, and that was a real scary thing. People got out with, I think, minor injuries, but yeah, I mean, the Model X has had a rough go of it compared to the S, so it's nice to see some positive news here. And as far as a green car, yeah, it doesn't really get much greener than either Tesla here. So kudos to them, congrats to the team, and I hope you guys keep making better and better products for us to enjoy. Okay, so that kind of is my recap of the week. Now let's go into questions, and I do have a couple that were submitted. Let me pull them up on the other screen. I haven't actually looked at these in detail, so let me do that real quick, and then we'll get to the people that submitted questions in advance, and then I will get into your questions in the chat here. And remember, Super Chat is enabled, so if you want your question to be answered first or pop up, you can click the little money icon and donate a couple bucks or whatever, and you will get featured on the chat. So go ahead and do that if you're so inclined. Now let me pull this up. Google is being very slow today. Maybe it's the Tesla website that's taking everyone's time. There it is. And while I wait for this to pop up, because again, Google and Tesla's websites are being incredibly slow, if you have questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat now, and I will try to answer those while I wait for this to pop up. So let me go over to that now. Joe Parik asks about the Model 3 configuration several times. Well, it's okay. The only news we have about the Model 3 is that in July is when the final unveiling will happen. And I'm close to getting an invite to that event. And so we'll see how that goes. But remember, you can go to model3tracker.info, enter your info there, and actually have kind of a fun little configuration tool. And then I take that data and then make visualizations out of it and help try to analyze it and break it down and all that. So I have a couple videos on that. If you're interested, Joe, you can go check out in the channel the things about the Model 3 and predicting the price and whatever the top features are. So go check that out in my channel there. All right, I almost have the Q&A up. You want to know my configuration? Okay, well, my configuration for the Model 3 right now, it's actually pretty basic. I would love to see the full self-driving, and I also want a big battery. Other than that, I don't really care. I'm a tech guy. I'm not actually so much of a car guy. Like, I'm a data geek that loves Tesla, and I love Tesla because it's so technically advanced. So for me, those are the big things, right? I want the self-driving as much as possible, and I want the bigger battery, whatever it'll come with. I think some rumors I saw said that it would only get up to 75 kilowatt hours, but that should be sufficient because it's a lighter car to go something like 300 miles. So anyways, that's what I'm looking for. I'm really not looking for a lot out of the Model 3. Probably what I'm going to do is get rid of my wife's SUV. She'll take my Model S, and then I'll take the Model 3. And now that we have solar, all of this is like just awesome for charging it in terms of electricity and all that stuff. Okay. So here I have some questions that were pre-submitted. Let me take a look. All right, I'll read this first one, which it looks like it comes from, how do I see that? Let me go to this guy. Oh, okay, let me go individual. There we go. Okay, Bobby Lee asks, along with the Tesla Powerwall, how many solar roof panels would I need to power a Model 3? Or should I bother doing anything other than install a new line to handle a charger? We price solar for the house plus a Tesla, but here in West Texas, our electric rates are so low that we just couldn't justify the investment. We'd rather hold off for a solar city roof the next time we have a storm bad enough to replace it and just pay the difference above insurance. I really get a lot out of your show and your new streaming show. Hello. The information is very useful. Keep up the good work. Okay, so and by the way, Marcus, thanks again for joining me. I can see you activated the super chat, so hello. Let me know if you have any questions. So Bobby's question here is about kind of, and the way I look at this, and I may do a video on it soon, is I have the notion of what I call a family sustainability plan, and just ways of making things more sustainable, and especially when it comes to energy. So you live in Texas, West Texas, so I assume you get a lot of sun. And so solar does make sense, but you're right. The cost may not, the payback period on it may be really, really long because electricity is so cheap there. And in fact, my video coming out next week is all about this. I'm actually looking at the electricity costs and what it may actually cost to charge your car. Now, for now, what I would say, regardless of what you're thinking about and talking about with solar, I would install the charger because you're going to need that anyway. You're going to need a way to charge it. You can't plug your solar directly into it. You have to have an inverter and all these other things. But the outlet to install is pretty straightforward. It was pretty expensive here because I had to run the line all the way around the house, and that stuff wasn't cheap. But once you get that, it's kind of like a dryer outlet. It's not 220 though; it's 240. And once you plug that in, you can then charge it overnight. So I would do that no matter what. So the Tesla and that, guaranteed. Then when it comes to solar, I'm a little short on Tesla and Solar City. In fact, when I talked to Solar City about getting it on my roof, it just didn't go well. Like, the customer service wasn't good. They didn't seem knowledgeable. I don't know if my experience is typical. I know they don't have a great reputation here in San Diego. Hopefully, so a lot of the changes that Tesla's making now that Solar City is owned by Tesla, hopefully those are going to go in and fix a lot of those things. So if you're not sure about solar, I would maybe wait. If you do want to go deep into solar, I have a video called How to Solar, and it explains the process I went through, the decision-making process about panels, inverters, and there's a website, energysage.com, which I used, where it was really nice. I submitted my roof line, a shot of it, as well as my electricity bill, and then people bid on my job essentially, but they didn't give them my personal information, so I wasn't being bombarded with sales calls or any of that nonsense. And it put it all into this dashboard where you can see all the different pieces lined up and compare them side by side, including price and payback period and all that stuff. So if you're on the fence about solar, I would go to get the Tesla, get the charger, the outlet installed to charge, and then get a quote on energysage.com. Go to energysage.com and enter your info, and you can do that. In fact, if you go to that video, we have a special link, which just lets them know that you came from us, and I think they will answer your questions. There was some deal they had, I forget, but go check out my How to Solar video to dive in deeper to that. But yeah, I wouldn't jump into that right away. All right, let's go to the next question here, and let's see. Marcus, did you have a question? I saw you donated. Thank you yet again, and I'm glad to see you back here. Tyler Hilliard asks, do you have a Powerwall? Well, I bought one, but I don't have it, no. I ordered it when I ordered my solar. Solar's all up and running. Life is good. I'm going to do a video showing you kind of, how that's affected the price and all that stuff coming up. But I'm still waiting. In fact, they said that in California anyways, no Tesla Powerwall 2s will be delivered until June, is the word that Tesla's giving. So I'm still waiting. I'm hoping to have one, and we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, they haven't delivered it, so I'm still waiting on that. But there is, by the way, in California, and I know this isn't everybody. This is a limited number of folks watching, but in California, we have something called the SGIP, which is the SGIP. What does it stand for? I don't want to misspeak about this because I already sound foolish enough, I think. What's it called? Okay, Self-Generation Incentive Program. So check this out. I'm going to do a video on this, but I just want to show this to you. First off, to prove that I'm not making it up. Now, this is something that's pretty amazing. So the SGIP program, as they call it, is an incentive for commercial and residential installation of these kind of advanced technologies for energy systems. So what do they call it? For qualifying distributed energy systems, aka a battery. So while I'm paying $7,000 plus or minus for the Powerwall, through the SGIP program, I'm getting a $5,600 rebate. So it's $1,400, which makes it practically free in terms of major upgrades to your house, right? Almost everything you do on a house is going to be a few $1,000. So this is a super interesting thing, and it applies to a large part of California. So if you are in California and you're looking for something like a Powerwall, even if you don't have solar, you can use this to essentially arbitrage the rate, where you would fill it up at night when the rates are cheaper and then sell it back during the day when the rates are more expensive. That's assuming you're on a time of use rating system, which a lot of people are, and a lot of the other utilities that aren't are going that way. In fact, I think in San Diego, later this year, they're going to announce that all of San Diego will be on time of use rating. So these kind of things are going to be really helpful. So look into this, but really the way to do it is to find somebody that would do solar and this, and they'll take care of all the paperwork for you, because even calculating your rebate is pretty impossible when I looked at it. So that's something to consider about a Powerwall as well. Okay, let me take a look at some more questions that were submitted. Jean Blanchette asks about air suspension will be available on base car. Sorry for my English. No worries. Yeah, I believe, I'm speculating about the Model 3. I would imagine it has the smart air suspension. Certainly the Model S does. Pierre-Andre Maynard asks, any update estimate cost per square foot or square meter of the new Tesla solar tiles? Highly interested in the Tesla Model 3 plus solar roof plus Powerwall 2 combo. He's from Canada. Yeah, I don't have any more estimates on that. The last video I did, which was looking at the cost estimate for the solar roofs, that was taking some of the stuff they had said publicly about what the cost may be, and then having Consumer Reports data and kind of matching those two things up to figure out what it might be. But since then, I know that Elon actually said it should be cheaper than buying a regular roof for your house. Forget roof plus solar plus electricity. So it's hard to speculate here, and I don't know per square feet or square meter may be, but this may be something that that we see soon. I believe that I don't know if it's April this month or next month. They should. I read something that they were going to be taking orders for the new solar roof, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't anticipate it being incredibly cheap, as none of their stuff is, but it may make a lot of financial sense. And when they do have more details out about it, of course, I'll be diving into those numbers to help you guys figure that out as well. Jack Coach asks, do you think we should plan on leasing or buying a Model 3? Well, if you could lease one, I'm sure people would love to do that. But right now, if you wanted to lease one, you'd be waiting a few years. I would maybe lease a Model S and then buy the Model 3. But by then, I don't know. People, the thing I hear from Tesla, and I talked to a few folks I know there, is that the Model S is going to be so much nicer. Is going to be so much nicer than the Model 3 that if you did lease the S, you might not want the 3 afterwards. So something to think about. I mean, if they were all available today, yeah, I'd say there's a lot of reasons to lease one. First, that you'll be able to get rid of it in a couple of years, and then upgrade to the latest and greatest hardware. Which these things are always. Elon even said it, right? Like these cars are essentially changing so fast that if you want to wait to get the latest, you'll be waiting forever. So don't do that. Definitely get one when you feel the time is right. And again, if you're going to get a Model S, use our code, Teslanomics.co/TD. We don't get any financial benefit directly from it, but it does give us some rewards. And those rewards, for one, is a tour of the Tesla Gigafactory. So stay tuned for that video whenever I get to do that. It'll be a few quarters away, but other things like a rolly bag or maybe a Tesla Powerwall. Mostly what I'm interested in the referral program is an invite to the Model 3 event. That's really what I want to get. So you get $1,000 off. There's no catch to you, but you do help out the channel. So if you or anyone else is in the market for one, go to Teslanomics.co/TD and you'll get that discount. So I got a question from Ben Dixon. Can you compare a 5 kilowatt solar system price between Australia and the US? I can't because I don't know. I don't have data on the price in Australia. I do know that Tesla's doing a lot there, or there's a bet going on between him and some Australian billionaire. I can tell you that just what I paid, and you can price it out here pretty easily. So mine is about a 5 kilowatt hours or kilowatt system, and it was about $20,000 US. Now it's in San Diego. Things in San Diego, California in general, are more expensive. But the average price I know is around $15,000 usually. So yeah, I don't know if that helps at all. I don't know. I have no idea what they would be there. It looks like we have another question on chat from Hackjack Tech, and thank you for supporting us here. Will Tesla be ahead, behind, or on track with Model 3? Well, this is $1 billion question. So my take is that they'll be a little bit behind. If they were ahead, we'd have configurations out already. There's only 2 more months between now and when they should be in production. And yes, we've seen release candidates, and hopefully they'll be close to on track. But if history repeats itself, they'll be at least a little late. I would imagine that it's one of those things where it's kind of an exponential curve. So as they ramp up production, in the early stages, there's going to be a lot of bugs to fix. This is the Founders Series type stuff where the people that are actually employees will start receiving them early in late June, early July, somewhere around that time frame. And then once they get those kinks worked out, it's just going to be exponential growth. So I think they'll be a little late to start. This is just my speculation. And then it will pick up very rapidly and probably be ahead of the curve going into maybe Q2 of next year. That's my speculation. But if you look at the previous delivery paths and all that stuff, that might be a place to do that. Also, by the way, let me if I have it. Ah, I put it away. Hold on. So this book, Getting Ready for Model 3, which is available on evnx.com, talks about that. There's a whole section in here about this. So I definitely recommend, if you're a Model 3 reservation holder, to go get this. But here you go. So there's a whole chapter here. When can I expect the Model 3 to be delivered? And I'm going to do a video on this at some point. Hopefully before the Model 3 actually gets out. But here it is, Chapter 8. When can I expect my Model 3 to be delivered? And so this actually has some of their previous data and some really good thinking on it. And this is from Roger Pressman from EVNX. So go to their website and check this out. I think this is a pretty good book if you're new to the Tesla family. Like if you already own a Model S or X, there's a lot of stuff in here that's maybe a bit redundant because it talks about like what it's like to own an EV. But if you're new to it entirely, this is a great book for you to help understand things like where to charge and all that stuff. I really think Roger did a good job with this book. So go check that out on their website. I got a question in French from Jean as well about the supercharger apocalypse, and I'm sorry, but it says please translate. All right, I'll give it a shot. Let's see, translate.google. And I'll share my translation. If you guys speak French, here, let me do it on this screen. Oops. All right, let's try this. We're going multinational here, or multilingual. This is from Jean Blanchette from Canada. Let's take a look. Supercharger apocalypse. That means we're testing Google out on this as well. Oh, let me share my screen. Sorry. There you go. And if I make that bigger, and if you guys speak French, go ahead and throw your thing in the comments there. That might help us out. Okay. So my last video was Supercharger apocalypse. I talked about the potential effect of all the Model 3 holders and what's going on. And let's see what Gene said here. Supercharger apocalypse. That means by obtaining $1,000 to the network. In Quebec, 5 superchargers disponible. I assume that means available. That's what it means in Spanish, anyways. Of 120, 100 between each will be the apocalypse when we reserve more than 50%. 32,000 Model 3 in Canada. Yeah. Yeah, and. So, okay, I think I get the question a little bit, and thanks for, I'm learning Spanish, and so I do love being exposed to different languages. Part of the deal is that there aren't a ton of superchargers out there right now. You saw that at the beginning of the show today, Tesla had their blog post about this, and I think they're really, they know this. They know they're going to have to make a huge investment to make this ready with delivery centers and remote service centers and all kinds of different things. But really, the supercharger shouldn't be a big deal for a lot of folks because first off, you have to pay to use it after 400 kilowatt hours of free charging. Then it's really only for travel. So if you don't have an EV right now, you probably don't, this doesn't set in, but I get up every day and I go get in my car and it's totally charged up. I don't have to even think about it. It's just always ready to go. So whether or not the supercharger is busy only matters when you travel. For most people, like I said, some people it's near their work or home, or they live in a place that doesn't have the ability to charge, which sucks. And I get like there are some people where this really may affect you, but know that there are also tons of destination chargers and other charging networks as well. So while the Tesla chargers only work on Teslas, they do have adapters for the other types of chargers out there. So I'm maybe a little sensational in the video, but and it is a serious thing that they need to address, but it appears that they're trying to do so. Will it be enough is a great question. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, if you live somewhere where there are not any superchargers, and you can think, oh my God, what's going to happen? And you use them. Specifically, the question is whether or not you use them that much, because like I said, I just went to the San Diego one to shoot that video. I had never even been to it before. That's when I realized it's in the middle of Qualcomm, where there's 20 buildings and 10,000 people working there. So that Whether or not you use it is the big question. Okay, let's get through. I think we've got, that was all the questions that were submitted in advance. So let me take a look at the chat and see what else you guys have. And I'll scroll up a little bit here because I know there's a delay. Michael S., do you think graphene batteries will be built one day in the Gigafactory? You know, I love what I've read about graphene. I love a lot of things about battery technologies, the solid-state batteries, glass batteries, batteries made of algae, all kinds of this stuff. I've just not seen, like, I'm very skeptical that any of it will make it into production ever. And that's just because there's been seemingly endless breakthroughs in battery technology, but we're still using, you know, the basic same lithium-ion batteries that we've had for a long time now. So I don't know. I would love to see that. If and when it actually happens, though, is another question. Jeffrey Price asks, how busy were your waits at a service center? That's actually this week's video coming out talking about that. Mine, so I've had 2 issues with my Tesla that I had to have a service guy come out for. And it was 2 or 3 days that I had to. Now, I could have got in there sooner if I had to, but they weren't major issues. So, you know, I call on a Tuesday, they're there on a Thursday or Friday. And remember, they came to my house. I've not actually been to the service center other than to pick up my car when I bought it. And even the service guy told me I can skip the first year's servicing. So I haven't taken it back to get the annual service or whatever. You know, I'll do that next year when, you know, they change fluids and stuff like that. So Leonardo Filippini, great name, by the way. Do you think Tesla will ever implement solar panels in their cars? Yes, actually. I think they are doing this. I think it was Panasonic had something that recently, and they're their battery partner, that they were making these for Toyota or Honda. I forget. You can go find the article out there, but there was some news about this not too long ago, that it's rumored that they may exist very soon. Now, the challenge, this honestly, I feel like it's so beautiful in concept, but at this point it's much more of like a novelty. I do hope that one day it would honestly be able to do something like charge the car while driving, so you could literally drive forever. But right now it seems kind of, you know, you park your car outside for a day or two and it might, you know, give you an extra 5 miles or something. I do think they're doing that. I also read about solar paint, where you could actually make the paint of the car out of solar. So all kinds of fun stuff here. But until solar gets just, you know, 1,000 times more efficient, it's not going to be able to reach those kind of awesome levels and those dreams that we have of basically driving forever and never having to stop. So Ray and Jay, thank you for the que sera sera in the background. De nada. Oh, Bobby Lee, hey there. I used Energy Sage based on your experience, but now only want to solar charge Model 3. How many panels? Well, okay, Bobby, so the question you're getting at, back to the other question you asked, was about how to charge the Model 3. So you only want it to charge it. It depends on how much time. So, you know, simple math, like size like mine, I have 16 panels. So each panel produces a different amount of watts. And in fact, I mean, let me just show this stuff to you guys. Preview of maybe an upcoming video, if you're interested here. Each panel produces a number of watts, and I have a 16 panel system which generates close to 5 kilowatts. Now you can see right here, so this is my actual system, my house, and if I click over on the dashboard, let me make this a bit bigger here. Whoa, hold on one second. Okay, so here's my actual system, and you can see on a daily basis, and I'm in a sunny place, San Diego, I'm getting about, there's a number up here, there you go, I don't know, what am I averaging, around 33, 34 kilowatt hours, and so that's a 5 kilowatt system running all day long here in San Diego. And so, and you'll lose about 10% probably in the actual act of charging. So there's that to consider. So all these factors you know, right now, if you're looking at a 75 kilowatt hour battery, it would take 2 days to charge with the size of system I have. Now, if you want to charge it much faster than that, I suppose you could find more efficient panels, or you could add more and more panels. So this is actually where I think the battery helps, and you can offset things and just kind of store the power in the Tesla battery and use that to charge. But there you go. There's like some real numbers. This isn't, this is straight up coming from my house, exactly what I'm generating with my, I think it was a 5.12 kilowatt system. It was what it was rated. So there you go. Hope that one helps. All right, let me scroll down. I was trying to find some here. Leon, how's it going? What are you expecting from the Model 3 config? I'm expecting to spend more money than I probably want to. Bharat Patel asks, when new Model 3 more economical or cheaper than Model 3 is in the pipeline? No one is talking about a cheap model. Yeah, I did read something, I think on Electrek a while ago about that, where they, beyond the Model 3, we're going to have an even cheaper one, 15 to 20,000 or something. But I mean, you're talking 5-6 years out. I mean, I wouldn't wait. You could even get used, probably a used one by then for a Model 3. So I wouldn't hold my breath on a cheaper version than a Model 3. Oh, hey, Alan. My question was in French earlier. I think we got it solved though. But thanks for joining. And maybe I'll ping you next time about any questions. Joe Cisco, do you know anything about Tesla in Nebraska? When and how? Dumb Nebraska. I don't. I'm assuming by your comment that this is one of the states that kind of bans the direct sales. And so I'm not sure how to get around that. I know, I think you could actually like buy it in another state or take delivery there. I'm not sure what the rules are, but yeah, there seems to be, it's typical, right? They're disrupting this industry. There's a lot of stuff that was happening, or a lot of people that have vested interest in not allowing them to do their thing. And so they're, regulating out of it. And there may be some, legitimate reason here and there. And we, as people that are interested in this or like it, probably think it's total bullshit. But there's probably some reasoning behind it that's fair. But to block the sales is really annoying. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I live in a state where things like that are not, we're usually on the forefront of the technology side. So Robert Phelps, has the rate of placeholders continued to increase or leveled off due to the waiting period? Also, what is the current number of pre-sold Model 3s? Well, if I had that, I would be probably considered an insider, not allowed to share it. I do not have that number. But the last thing I can point you to was the last earnings call, in which they said we are in good shape, was the answer to essentially that exact same question from one of their investors. And I think that was the COO. I forget who it was that answered that phone or that call. So yeah. El Diablo, don't take your Tesla to Mexico. You will get stuck for hours trying to get back to the U.S. while customs tears it apart looking for the gas tank. Wow. If you have a story about that, I would love to know. You may have heard me talk about this before, that there are a lot of destination chargers down in Baja California where me and my family love to go visit, wine country and just the beaches and stuff. So yeah, that's interesting. But I am curious. I have the Century Pass, we have global entry, we have all this kind of thing. So I don't know if that's maybe, if you have a story there, I'd love to hear it. Let me take just one or two more questions here. Jairo Gutierrez, will you buy a Model 3? Yeah, I have plans to. I actually have 2 reservations, but I'm probably just going to buy one and the other one's for a friend. But I don't know. I'm going to buy it because I want to share it with you guys and I want to experience it. But I'm so in love with the Model S that I may buy another Model S instead. I don't know. I haven't decided. I'll have to wait and see. Because the kind of debate in my head is, okay, I can get another Model S used with not all the bells and whistles, but a really, really great car for probably the same price as I could get a completely souped up Model 3. And so I want to get in one and see, and I know that they mentioned that there were going to be um, delivery vehicle, no, like test drive vehicles in Q3 of this year. Again, I'm curious to see if that'll happen, but I think that'll be the deciding factor for me when I actually get to see one and see what it's like. But yeah, I do plan on buying one. Whether or not I stick with it is a different question. In fact, this is an interesting question for Tesla. If you buy a Model 3, am I allowed to resell it? Because think about that. I mean, let's say I'm an early reservation holder. I'm a current Tesla owner, so I get priority delivery. I live in California. I have all these things, right? In theory, I could like buy this and sell it to someone overseas for triple the price or something. I don't know, but I'm not sure if they're going to have any issues with that. But I'm definitely going to get one because I want to share it with you guys and give you my experience and my take on it. Carlos Pinto, have I seen the new Tesla patent about charging? Yeah, they have some coolers or something underneath to help do it faster. That looks amazing. The most interesting thing in charging that I've come across recently was actually something from Honda. I think it was Honda, where their plan is to have it be wireless charging. So you essentially would have you drive your car over it and it would charge just like you'd wireless charge your phone. But they're planning on doing it on the road. So with that, in the testing, the data that they put out there said that you could be driving up to 95 miles per hour and charging. So imagine it'd be like a video game where you have the little strips on one lane on the highway for miles and miles and miles. And as you're driving over that, you're charging. That would be phenomenal if that were to happen. That would be way too cool, I think, if you could have a way to continue to drive and charge. That's even better than a 5-minute charge, right? Because you don't have to stop at all. But we'll see. All the stuff, batteries, it's all coming. But until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. There's just so much speculation and so much stuff out there. All right. So what levels did you do? I currently am doing economics, math, and geography and want to go into finance. Joe, yeah. So my degree on the wall behind me there was in computer information systems. I kind of have a long story. I won't get into too much detail, but I started out at the phone company MCI in the late 90s as an intern at the help desk fixing computers and started doing reports in Excel. And so I started digging into making charts and graphs and interactive tools and got into programming and web-based programming and all these things. And then I really just stuck with the data thing, and I've had a long, 18-year career in the data science field, or now we call it data science. So I never really went, I think I got calculus 1, 2, and 3 in college or something, but most of that was after the fact because I started my career at 17 years old when I graduated high school, and I learned everything on the job. So I learned how to become a programmer, how to work with data, how to write SQL, how to build web pages, how to do all these things. And, later on I got some of the math stuff in college, but beyond some good amount of algebra, even in today's world, you don't really need a lot of that to have a successful career in data science. If you want to do a really advanced algorithms and machine learning and some of that stuff, sure. But more so, you need to have kind of this problem-solving mentality and tinkering with things and fine-tuning them and looking at data, but not necessarily understanding the math behind it, because a lot of times it's so far gone that it's really just a wasted effort. Now, I will say I've worked with quite a few people that have those backgrounds, those PhD in statistics, and it is fascinating how their brains work. But you certainly don't have to have that in order to work with data, whether or not it's in finance or any other thing like that. So, by the way, and people have called me out on this, like, hey, you're not a data geek. Go check me out on LinkedIn. I'm actually an instructor there. I have 10 courses on LinkedIn, 13 on pluralsight.com, all about data science and teaching people how to do it. So if you want to know me and my background and other things that I do, that's kind of where you can find more information there. Alexander Bali, is there enough lithium in the world? I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. Oh, and Sid, it was model3tracker.info, if that's what you're looking for. El Diablo, I'll post a story on crossing La Frontera later, and I want to just go ahead and email me, Ben at Teslanomics.co, and I'll check it out. Trooper 655, when do you think California regulatory rules will come out for the public regarding full autonomy? I believe they have. I thought this happened years ago. They signed something that said once you have 1 million miles without an accident or something like that. There are regulations already, and we are testing those. In fact, if you remember, Uber got in trouble for this. But yeah. So I think there already are rules and stuff out there. So you can probably go look that up on, I don't know what state website, but there is something out there. So cool. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today. Thanks for joining me yet again. Stay tuned this Thursday where I look at what the Model 3 the impact of the Model 3 may potentially have on the servicing of your Tesla Model S. And again, or Tesla Model S, X, or 3. And again, if you or anyone you know is looking for a Model S, use our referral code at teslanomics.co/TD. I use that link instead of the direct Tesla link because it redirects you, and then every quarter or so Tesla re-ups it, and they may change that link sometimes. So that's why it's on our site versus theirs. So all it does is behind the scenes redirects you directly over to Tesla. So and if you do use that, please send me an email. I'd love to hear from you, just like at the top of the show here where you heard from Steven about his story. So thanks again so much for joining me, and I will see you guys here on Thursday for the next video and live next Monday. Submit your questions, get on the email list, and then I'll send you out the link to submit your questions for next time too. Cheers. Thanks.